you suffering from drug addiction or know a family member or friend struggling with addiction? There's help. Call the National Council on Drug Abuse, 926-9002-4. You are inside Jamaica Magazine and I'm your host, Audrey Williams. Here's what we have in store for you today. A robotics and renewable energy summer camp to engage young minds. Plus, we continue to spread the message of proper road usage as we approach the end of the Road Safety Awareness Month. The focus is on pedestrians. There's more, so stay with us. Up first, a message to protect the health of our children, followed by Andrea Chisholm at the news desk.
Stop smoking around me! Without cigarettes, the world will be much better. Smoking is bad for your health, and when grown-ups smoke around us, we are breathing in their smoke too.
Cigarette smoking is bad for your health and the health of those around you. Don't smoke around children. A message from the Pan American Health Organization.
Good day, I'm Andrea Chisholm and this is your JIS News for Thursday, June 26. Youth and Culture Minister Lisa Hanna has given the directors of 6 privately operated children's homes 7 days to respond to alleged breaches resulting from the implementation of an unauthorized sexual education program in the institutions. Stacey Ann Smith has more.
The program, Realizing Sexual and Reproductive Health Responsibility, was implemented by the human rights group Jamaicans for Justice and only came to light through media reports and a publication from the JFJ. Acting on the Youth Minister's directive, the Child Development Agency investigated the matter and submitted a report that outlined several breaches of the regulations governing children's homes. Among other things, it says the administrators failed to first seek approval of the curriculum by the minister and did not advise the CDA about the program, even though they were visited by monitoring officers from that agency during the period. Parts of the training material were found to be inappropriate for the age cohort, most of whom the CDA says appears to have been below age 16. The Child Development Agency also reports that some elements may even have contravened existing Jamaican laws. Expressing concern about the breaches, Minister Hanna says she will be taking appropriate action after the administrators of the homes respond. For its part, the CDA says after a preliminary focus group session with 100 children who participated in the program, a team of social workers was deployed to provide counseling and are to report on the need for any further intervention. Stacey Ann Smith reporting for GIS News.
The Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, Christine Lagarde, is scheduled to arrive in Jamaica Thursday evening. Madame Lagarde will meet with the Prime Minister and Finance Minister, senior government officials, and the parliamentary opposition on Friday. She will also participate in a number of outreach activities before departing the island on Saturday. The Ministry of Finance says the visit underscores the IMF support for Jamaica's economic reform program and signals its commitment to assisting the wider Caribbean. Just last week, the Executive Board of the IMF confirmed that Jamaica passed all 4 tests under Year 1 of the Extended Fund facility. Jamaica is set to receive another $70.9 million from the multilateral agency, bringing total disbursements to date to approximately $414.4 million. The local government ministry will be spending $171.3 million this financial year, repairing a number of fire stations and addressing equipment needs in the service. In his sectoral presentation Wednesday, State Minister Colin Fagan said that amount included $39.9 million to repair a number of fire stations. $90 million is also budgeted to buy 3 new fully equipped fire trucks and 1 ambulance for the emergency medical service. Another 2 ambulances, along with fire trucks and a fire boat, will be repaired at a cost of $21.4 million, while $20 million is set aside to buy firefighting equipment, including 100 bunker gears and a fire hose.
We cannot escape the realities of the economic climate that currently exists, but we will not allow our firefighters to operate under less than favorable conditions. We are not in a position to carry out the large-scale upgrading that is required. We are striving towards meeting full compliance with the fire safety standards at our fire stations.
As part of that, contracts have already been signed to renovate the Savlamar and Brownstown fire stations. Funds have been allocated to commence preliminary works at the Port Maria and Barnett Street fire stations, and rehabilitation work continues at the St. Anne's Bay fire station. And with a $13 million grant from the Japanese government and another $300,000 from the US government, fire hydrants across the island are also targeted for rehabilitation. Government is spending millions of dollars this financial year to improve sporting infrastructure across the island. The details were outlined by Minister with Responsibility for Sport, Natalie Nita Headley, in her sectoral presentation to Parliament. For the National Stadium, $270 million will be spent to carry out upgrading works in 5 stages.
The scope of work for these phases involve the construction of concession stands, additional restrooms, and the installation of skyboxes in the south and north bleachers.
Rehabilitation work has started on the bleacher stands, and 14 street lamps have been retrofitted with energy-efficient LED bulbs. In the meantime, the Trelawney Multipurpose Stadium will also be upgraded.
Work has already commenced to improve some facilities there. We have just spent just over $8 million on refurbishment of the outfields, the players' areas, and the installation of 4 new pitches.
The Fosrich Group of companies has also begun to install floodlights at Sabina Park in Kingston, and over the next 2 years, $250 million will be spent to improve fields, running tracks and courts in 24 high schools across the island. And finally, the Education Ministry has launched an online jobs board to open up more employment opportunities for trained educators finding it difficult to source jobs. It gives employers access to a database of over 800 resumes from persons with trained teacher certification, as well as a space for employers to advertise job vacancies. Job advertisements on the site are not limited to the education sector, and the ministry is inviting organizations from all sectors of the economy to post job vacancies. It's accessible at teachersjobmatch.gov.jm, and the ministry says it's already being used. There is no charge for employers or job seekers to register as users of the Jobs Board. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Thank you for watching.
Each time you're not paying full attention to the road environment, the greater your chances of getting in a crash like that. Plan routes to avoid focusing on GPS systems, prevent children from roaming in motor vehicles, turn down the volume of car stereo systems, pull off the roadway if you have to use mobile devices, do not read, watch television or eat while driving, avoid multitasking, and keep conversations with other passengers to a minimum. Whether you walk, ride or drive, avoid potentially fatal distractions.
%70 of the jobs in the future will require knowledge in the areas of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And the global reality is that emphasis must be placed on these areas at all levels of education. The Minister of Education and the entire government, we share this. All levels and types of training and into the psyche of the working public.
Keeping true that conviction, the minister has appointed a National Director General of Science and Technology to lead this effort. But more importantly, there are others supporting the agenda, like Kim Roy Bailey, who is teaching these principles through his Robotics and Renewable Energy Summer Camp at the University of Technology starting July 7. Take a look.
Just imagine a summer camp that teaches you how to make robots. And even more cool, it teaches you how to program and use them. Well, imagine no more, because it's happening right here in Jamaica at the University of Technology starting July 7. Targeting high school students, the Kimroy Bailey Robotics and Renewable Energy Summer Camp is all about exposing students to science, technology, energy and mathematics, for short, STEM, through hands-on interactive sessions. For 3 weeks, the camp will support government's thrust to engage persons in those areas to prepare and build a labor force that's ready to advance investment opportunities being pursued for the economic growth of the country.
For the first 3 days of the camp, students will be concentrating mainly on robotics. And what is robotics? They'll be doing mobile robots. So how to program a simple robotics platform, get it to move when it senses an object or an obstacle, how to move away from it. But more importantly, how can that mobile robot communicate with the user? So here we have a portable camera. With a smartphone, wherever the robot goes, you have access to that information in real time. The last 2 days we'll be doing renewable energy, and here we have our partner Genex, and students will have the opportunity to assemble solar units. So you have the panels, the control units, the batteries, etc., to see how renewable energy comes to life.
Students will also get first-hand experience on how to build programs on smartphones that can remotely operate lights, air-conditioned units, and security features for your home or business.
You can control all the lights, you can reduce your energy. For the government, for big industries where AC, heating and cooling plays a critical role, you can have your smartphone tracking who's in which room at which time. When they leave, the lights go off, the AC goes off, so you're saving energy. And that's what we want to get to these students, and then from there to the Jamaica on a whole.
The objective of the Robotics and Renewable Energy Summer Camp is to ignite interest in the science and technical areas, with a view to get young persons thinking from an early age of the entrepreneurial platforms that are available, like building mobile surveillance units.
So here we have 2 different versions of a quadcopter. And with this platform, you could use it for aerial surveillance. Let's say something goes wrong on your property, you can deploy a quadcopter to do a full 360 analysis of what's going on at any given point. So we went ahead and we reduced the cost of $1,000 system. That's around 100,000 Jamaican dollars. And for a couple $100, we got the motors, we got simple bricks, Lego bricks, and we could break it down further to having bamboo, regular Jamaican bamboo, to make the joints, get the motors, and we can do this here. We can do this locally, achieving the same task with much on our budget and doing the manufacturing locally.
And thinking even further about the sustainability of the device, the team has incorporated the renewable energy component.
Quadcopters, they can consume 10 Duracell batteries in an hour. These are small solar cells, and we have partnered with Genex. What we'll go ahead and do is have students assemble the integrated circuit. So the solar cell collects the energy from the sun. There's a charge controller. A very simple AA battery can be found in any remote controller. And this can then be embedded on your quadcopter, your mobile robot, your house security system, and in real time you're storing energy, you're collecting and storing energy.
In addition to that, the students will be taken on a field trip to the Wigton Wind Farm in Manchester for further exposure to a source of alternative energy. The Robotics and Renewable Energy Summer Camp, which will run from July 7 to 27, is endorsed by the Scientific Research Council, the University of Technology, and Genex.
This summer camp has come at a very, very ideal time with this push for STEM. When we look at these major mega projects that are about to take place, we definitely have to be a part of it, and we have to show our government that yes, we can be the ones who will be implementing, as I said, this technology, and this transfers nicely into what it is that we want to do in terms of reviving our manufacturing sector.
Kim Roy is an engineer at Wigton and has represented Jamaica at robotics competitions abroad while attending UTech. Placing third in 2012 changed his perspective of Jamaica's ability to become a producer of technology and sparked a passion within him to pass on the knowledge.
And standing there in that global audience, you realize that our country It doesn't require a Japan or a Asia or a China to make things. We can make things. We can compete on an international stage and be recognized for that. Robotics brings a lot of the principles of the physics, the chemistry, the biology in one interactive platform. Once you can touch the science, it naturally leaves a footprint in that psyche. So we, through robotics, are hands-on, renewable energy. You can see the development. Naturally, students will see this and remember it moving forward. It's more than just a whiteboard or a projector screen. It's now having all that information from the textbook coming to life.
For more information on the Kim Roy Bailey Robotics and Renewable Energy Summer Camp, call 834-5971 or send an email to kimroy@kimroybailey.com.
Chantal, you know me can't find him for wait, I know when they know. Watch me honey. Hey Chantal, where you watch? GIS?
No most you know say that the program are the best.
Them always the places where you have progress. I'm here to them there. Don't me now forget.
I most Manchester's finest.
Hey, hide your remote, not change the station. Cause we soon come back with more information from the school and the station where you're number one. From the school and the program where you're number one.
If the call centers in Jamaica have to shut down, you know how many people would lose them work?
Thousands.
If the tourists stop come to Jamaica, you know how many people would have suffer?
Hundreds of thousands. People, don't skin up with no scammer. Don't take them blood money. It is killing Jamaica. Help put them away.
Silence brings violence.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
Although pedestrian fatalities are trending downward, the numbers are still too high. 85 in 2012 and 88 last year. This is coming from over 100 in previous years. To sensitize both motorists and pedestrians about safe ways to traverse the roadways, we put together this feature. Take a look.
Ever wondered where the safest places are to cross the roads? Coming up, tips to help all of us when we walk on the roads. I'm Alison Watson, and you're watching Road Scholars.
Pedestrians are among the most vulnerable groups of road users. In fact, in 2010, pedestrians were highest on the list of traffic fatalities, accounting for 115 of the 319 deaths caused by motor vehicle crashes. Between January and early November 2011, pedestrian deaths stood at 89, a 9% decrease from 100 recorded for the same period in 2010. That's no reason for comfort though, as traditionally, pedestrians, along with pedal cyclists and motorcyclists, have ranked high on the road fatalities list. When a pedestrian is hit by a motor vehicle, the impact and severity of injury is determined by a number of factors. The size of the vehicle, the speed at which it is traveling, the angle at which impact was made with the individual, as well as what happened when the vehicle came to a stop. All impact the outcome of the crash.
The vulnerability of those who use our roadways makes it critical for the authorities, motor vehicle operators, and pedestrians themselves to take steps to ensure their safety.
It's all a part of creating what is called a traffic-friendly environment, making provisions and instituting certain safety mechanisms, such as calculating the time span between stoplight changes to give vulnerable users more time to cross.
You will have, say, 1 to 1.25 meters per second you calculate for an average person to get across the road, where there is deemed to be a high number of vulnerable road users. Children, elderly, the blind, the disabled. you reduce it to, say, 0.75 meters per second. So you do the calculation, and then you always have a safety factor that you put into it, maybe 25% additional time provided to get pedestrians across.
It's important that all those who use the roads outside of the relative safety of a motor vehicle be considered. So, of course, there are provisions made for the elderly, the deaf, the visually impaired, and other physically challenged individuals.
A traffic-friendly environment for the person itself now. Sidewalks, pedestrian guardrails, pedestrian crossings, having ramps on the sidewalks themselves provide ease of access. Advanced features in sidewalks, or you might have tactile sidewalks now where the texture of the sidewalk is different from the regular sidewalk for the blind, so that they can feel when they walk to know that right here is where I should cross. You can have audible pedestrian traffic signals now. For example, there was a pilot done by the Halfway Tree Transport Center, where when it's your time to walk, you'll actually hear a beep sound. So again, the blind can pick up that it's time for me now to cross this corridor.
Children too are considered in drafting the road code for vulnerable users, which serves as a guide to policymakers. It includes placing crossing guides and traffic wardens in school zones.
In 2010 alone, 32 elderly persons lost their lives due to road crashes, emphasizing the need for groups such as these to be provided for in the layout of the traffic environment.
If the elderly is having problem crossing at the junction or intersection, anybody who is around and who notices it should go and assist them to cross the road by holding their hand and going across the road with them. And this also applies to the children. And in so doing, we'll be reducing the amount of people that get killed by vehicles.
Because of incorrect driving, road infringement, persons failing to apply the road code, approximately 57% of all road accidents and fatalities are caused by this incorrect driving.
Drivers, pedal cyclists, and motorcyclists also need to look out for pedestrians while on their journey. There are certain rules they need to obey for both their safety and that of the pedestrians, like being vigilant, avoiding the use of cellular phones and other electronic devices, cutting their speed, and overtaking only when necessary. In a nutshell, obey all road rules.
Pedestrians can do a lot to ensure that they use the roads safely.
Like remembering the 6 steps to use when crossing the road and using them always. Think, is it safe to cross here? Can I see clearly? And can I be seen clearly? Stop. Once you have decided to cross, stop at that spot. Look and listen. Look left and right and listen to see if traffic is approaching. Wait. Ensure the road is fully clear. Cross. Proceed briskly and carefully to the other side. And keep looking and listening. While crossing, look and listen to see if there is any approaching traffic. Some other useful guidelines include wearing light-colored clothing at night. This will allow you to be more clearly seen by other road users. Always walk on the right side of the road towards the oncoming traffic. Make full use of pedestrian crossings, signalized crossing intersections, overhead bridges and other crossing aids as much as possible. Never cross at deep corners where you cannot see vehicles approaching on either side. In areas where there is little or no sidewalk, walk as close as possible to the curb to prevent being hit, and avoid being distracted by electronic devices.
Parents are also being encouraged to teach their children some good traffic habits, starting with some simple ones.
Teach them the 6-step method of crossing the road. Tell them never to play in the streets. Accompany them to school, the playground, and other areas until they are competent enough to go by themselves. And show them the safest areas to cross the road and teach them to use crossing aids properly. It takes the commitment of everyone working together to ensure all users of the road are granted safe passage. Remember, paying attention to road safety saves time, it saves money, and it saves lives.
Let's all try to make a difference in the traffic environment. Why not join the effort to significantly reduce road fatalities? This has been Road Scholars, and I am Alison Watson. Walk good.
There'll be a better tomorrow. 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 There'll be a day. There'll be a way. There'll come a time to sing a brand new song. There'll be a better tomorrow.
The International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Drug Trafficking commemorates the signature of the Declaration adopted at the International Conference on June 26, 1987. The Declaration was an expression of the UN determination to strengthen action and cooperation to achieve the goal of an international society free of drug abuse and trafficking. According to the UN, despite the determination of the member states to reduce drug abuse and trafficking, the drug problem continues to ravage individuals, communities, and even many countries across the world. Its links to crime, corruption, pornography, and HIV/AIDS underline how pervasive the drug problem has become in today's world. No country across the world is immune. The Jamaican government, in conjunction with several organizations, has over the years continued to fight against drug abuse and trafficking. This is being done through public education, rehabilitation, and legislation. For example, in the latter part of the 1980s, a survey conducted by the National Council on Drug Abuse showed that the use of crack cocaine is a serious problem in Jamaica. Patricia House was set up in 1990 in response to that development. Patricia House is a rehabilitation center for persons who have lost control of their lives through the use of drugs. It is an important link in the national drug program monitored by the National Council on Drug Abuse. One of the major initiatives of the government aimed at disrupting the flow of illegal drugs out of the country is the installation of drug scanners at the country's 2 international airports, the Norman Manley in Kingston and the Donald Sangster in Montego Bay. The screening machines at the 2 international airports have put a strong wedge in the wheels of drug traffickers from the country. Persons who attempt to smuggle drugs through the island's airports, including those who have swallowed narcotics, are now at greater risk of being caught.
This is how we close the show for today, but we don't have to lose this connection. Keep the link via our website, jis.gov.jm. Send us some feedback via email or a tweet at JIS News. Join us again tomorrow, same time, same station. On behalf of the production crew, I'm Audrey Williams. Take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.